On this week's YouTube, you see Shadow interacting in the pond while we're cleaning it. You can hear the water still running, and it's a nice way to cool off during the day. The retired pond is cleaned probably every 2 weeks, where the main exhibit pond, which is quite a bit larger, maybe 5,000 to 6,000 gallons of water, we will do about once a month, depending upon heat. Obviously affects algae growth, so Shadow spends a fair amount of time. Unfortunately, I didn't have the videotape handy when he stole the hose. He did make a run for it, and he did one of the first play bows that I've seen since he's been in retirement. Shadow was famous for kind of initiating chase during his younger days, just kind of coming up and doing a play bow and running, putting his front haunches down and then chasing away, having other wolves run after him. And he hasn't obviously done that in the last couple of years, but he did one right in front of me after he stole the pond hose. And so we can definitely see a little more play behavior coming back in him. And we're starting to see a little more interaction with he and Malik. Again, it is fairly limited, and it will be with older animals, but there is some greetings. I saw Shadow sniffing and licking Malik's face yesterday, and so that's going to come around. Usually we expect about 6 to 8 weeks transition for animals, again, to get back into some kind of a routine, but no real dominance, like say, other than Malik, who is a little food possessive, and Shadow seems to deal with that okay. We are feeding Shadow again on a daily basis, and we did see him gain weight this week. Shadow's weight this week is 87 pounds, and again, we were concerned about him 2 weeks ago with a 71-pound weight. Now, I need to qualify that he did have a deer torso. He and Malik shared a deer torso with 2 front legs last night, so there could very well be 10 pounds of meat in his system. So 87 pounds from 71, that's a 16-pound gain. I don't believe he gained 16-pound body weight. I'd say maybe if he got 5 to 8 pounds of body weight, that would be an impressive weight gain in 2 weeks. So we're on the uphill swing. Certainly, we are giving him as much resources as he wants. His preference is the tubes of ground beef, so we're buying those at $1.48 a pound. That's his preference. He sometimes gets chicken, although some days he doesn't care for chicken. He's a little sick of beaver. He always likes deer. So we are kind of working around, as with typical in retirement, working around what the wolf wants, because that's important for him. Even at that age, they can be a little finicky, and our goal is to get weight on him, not to offer him food that he doesn't want and decline. Now, granted, the reality is if you leave it, he probably will eat it, but he's in competition with Malik. We also know that Malik will probably eat it. And while we haven't gotten Malik on the scale, because he's a little bit more nervous to weigh, physically we do tell that Malik's gaining a little bit of weight. And as you see here, still raised leg urinating, still showing some status, even though it's just he and Malik. And very confident. This scraping the ground is something that he does frequently and is a very good thing. Now, one other thing we noticed during wolf care, apparently someone in here is digging a hole underneath the white pine tree. And this is a tree that already has some issues. It's half dead, one live branch. It's right adjacent to the pond. And these wolves can really dig, so we're kind of waiting to see where that goes, and then where this tree goes when it has no longer any support under its root system. So it's a fairly large white pine, and we'll keep an eye on that, but retired wolves are never bored. There's always something to do. So we'll switch to the exhibit pack now and see what's going on over there. In the exhibit pack, you're going to see Maya showing some dominance over Denali here. You see her tail in a T1 arousal with a tail wag. You'll notice Aidan just kind of follows Maya around, tail wagging the whole time, wanting to interact. Denali's a curious animal. He's also an animal who has not really had much physical interactions. There's not a bite wound on him. He's as clean, his no scars, no signs of any conflict, taller than anyone else in the exhibit. We did weigh the exhibit pack this past week. Grizzer weighed in at 122 pounds. Denali was about 111 pounds. Aidan was about 105, and Maya was about Maya was only 85 pounds. So all the males are over 100, and Maya is down a little bit from her April weight, not too much, but 85 pounds. So overall, the pack's doing pretty well. We are starting to see some signs of Grizzer coming back into doing a little play behavior. That was Denali, who just did an approach of Grizzer and did a little bit of a play bow initiate chase, and Grizzer didn't partake. Denali is clearly up to something. You can see by his posture and wants to interact. This is Aidan. I missed a raised leg urination on the filming, but he had just RLU'd right where Maya did an overmark there and scraped the ground in kind of confidence. Aidan is showing some freedom to be around the enclosure a little bit more. This is the front of the exhibit. This is 3 rocks that are kind of make a little bit of a retreat for somebody. And this is also where the cherries were, that were being picked last week. They've now since stopped picking cherries, but Aidan again gets a little bit of free movement, and notice his tail is quite a bit more relaxed, a lot more confidence this week than we've seen in previous weeks. And again, Grizzer is down with the pack. He has just started to greet wolf care staff again. Shadow was retired Shadow was retired June 26th, and so now July 29th, almost a month later, and you're seeing just the start of some suns coming back. We are also seeing again Denali and Grizzer doing a little bit more wrestling, and some of this is testing behavior. Denali is a tall individual. Here he just does a chin rest right on top of Maya, which is a sign of dominance. Maya is trying to do some growling to kind of put him in his place. Aidan, who wants to engage in social contact, continues to do foreleg stabs to get Maya's attention, and then tries to do a parallel gait with her, and ends up parallel gating with Denali and Grizzer instead. So these are social behaviors that we're seeing here. And you can see that Denali is trying to do a little bit of testing. He tried to do a chin rest there on Grizzer, and Grizzer basically tried to avoid him. He's going to do a mount on Grizzer a little bit off camera here, and Grizzer's going to try to avoid interacting with that, do a little bit of a lunge snap, and try to get Denali off of him. One thing that we are curious and really watching very closely is if you notice Aidan's body posture as he faces off with Grizzer, very intimidated. Tail is tucked in a T4. His ears are flat back. He's approaching Grizzer, but he's definitely very timid and very concerned about it. And what ends up happening is when Denali and Grizzer get pretty excitable and wrestle, there is redirection towards Aidan, and that's one of the concerns that we have. Not just Maya, but Grizzer has been observed redirecting towards Aidan. So it's important to try to keep things a little bit calm. Can't really control a 2-year-old's testing. That's something that they do, and something that they, as part of young wolf life, trying to look for opportunities to move up. Like I say, you can see Denali doing a whirl there. A whirl is just when he spins around and tries to interact. And Grizzer's just fed up, so he takes off on a chase. Denali's chasing Grizzer. Aidan, again, doesn't want to get involved in these chase scenes because they are excitable, and that excitement creates dominance, and usually he ends up getting some kind of aggression towards him, so he stays back. But here, Denali's doing a squash on top of Grizzer, and he's got him pinned. He's got him pinned by the neck there, and again, it's still a little social for Denali, but I think Grizzer at this point is getting a little frustrated, and he's going to chase or run away, try to evade Denali. Denali's pretty quick. He's a long-legged, tall boy, and Grizzer's got 10 pounds on him. That's going to slow him down a bit. So they chase around for a little bit, and then they cool off in the pond. But you can hear the redirection, and that's Maya redirecting to Aidan based on the excitement. And that excitability just created a little bit of tension, and Maya is going to put Aidan down. And Aidan's the only one she really can control, so probably why he gets a majority of the focus. So we're watchful of that, and certainly Aidan cannot deal with both Maya and Grizzer at one time. That's something that we will intervene on. We will watch it. We don't stop every squabble because wolves actually do a lot of these ritualized dominances to settle things. They're noisy. They may result in a bite wound, but they're not lethal. And what we've found over the years is that if you stop all these small little scuffles, that everybody thinks they won, and it just keeps building and building and building to the point where they blow up. And so we want to make sure that they can work things out with these scuffles. Most of the time they're less than a minute or two. We obviously want to be mindful if a wolf has a disadvantage, say 2 wolves have them down, we will do a distraction. Not necessarily stepping in the middle of it, but doing something in the enclosure that'll draw the attention of 1 or 2 wolves away from the situation and give that wolf who's down an advantage. We are also certainly mindful of the stressors that cause some of these anxiety, and so we're very watchful of what goes on around the wolf yard, what goes on in the back side of the wolf enclosure, and make sure that if we are going to have some kind of stressor, such as the Working for Wolves that just got posted for October, where we're actually going to be doing some fuels reduction work and actually burning, we will probably increase food availability and make sure that there's a plentiful amount of food resources available while we're doing those work projects. So those are things that we're watching for. Like I say, Grizzer is back greeting staff. Had a good wolf check today where he was not as social, but he's certainly better than he's been. We are watching Maya on a daily basis go from being a very, very good dominant female to being a little bit obsessed with Aidan, and you see her in a stalk mode here, and fortunately she didn't follow through. So sometimes the stalk mode triggers a little bit more predatory behavior, and certainly something that we'll see result in more issues for Aidan. As we've said earlier, we are celebrating our 25th anniversary, and we have a goal of getting 2,500 new members for our 25th anniversary this year. So if you have not joined the International Wolf Center and are interested in learning more about it, check us out at our website at www.wolf.org. And there's information about membership. The benefits of membership are free admission to the center, a quarterly magazine, a discount at our retail den store, as well as our online purchases, as well as the idea of supporting wolf population education and obviously these captive wolves here. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.